I'm like, man, I wish I could operate like that, because if I could, oh my God, there would be another dimension that I could get to.
Right, yeah.
I don't have that dimension, hence why I stay away from it. You don't see me ever doing political humor.
My favorite political bit of yours, and I know it wouldn't be considered political, but I think it was way more political than anyone would ever think, is the bit where you were talking about being sucked into a Black Lives Matter protest.
Black man in the middle of a bullhorn going off. Black lives matter, and you don't think they matter, you're part of the problem, and they find a solution. The solution is death. Every black person that showed up here today is willing to die. We will all die today. We don't give a fuck about it. If you black and you here, it's because you came to die. If you black and you in this circle around me, it's because you ready to die first. I look down, I'm in the fucking circle. I said, wait a minute. That's not why I came. I didn't come for that. That's not why I'm here.
Can I tell you something? Yeah, but what I loved about that bit was, whether it was intentional or not, it told a very true story about how so many people get sucked into the allure of appearing to be what they're not. And now you just, that speech that you gave, you're in it. I don't even remember, I just remember trying to repeat it to my friend. Yeah. It ain't no, what you say? It ain't no, I know what it is.
Now I gotta give a speech. You ever say something, while you're saying something, you realize you're not saying nothing, but you gotta keep trying to say something, even though you know it's nothing? That was my fucking speech. This is my speech, word for word. Verbatim, this is my speech. Alright? Y'all already know what it is. And what it is what it's gonna be. Ain't gonna be what it is.
You win it. And what
I supposed to say that to my friends. Yeah, man. It ain't gonna be what it is. Yeah, man.
YouTube, yeah.
It ain't what it is.
You know what it is.
That joke was so dope for your people watching, listening. It was dope because, to my point, I don't do political humor at all. But it was about getting sucked into the thing that you think you're supposed to do.
Yes.
And I was like, man, everybody around me, giving this thing energy, and I got a feeling about it. I'm going.
Can I tell you one of the hardest things I think people struggle with is, so one of my favorite movie scenes of all time, I don't know why this left such an indelible impression on me, was, did you ever watch the movie Devil's Advocate? It was Charlize Theron. There's a scene in the movie, so the plot of the movie, for those who haven't seen it, and I'll spoil it, is basically Keanu Reeves plays this hotshot young lawyer. Keanu Reeves plays a lawyer. Charlize Theron is his wife, and
Bro, later ko yung tingin mo bezig na eh.
they meet Al Pacino. He's running this law firm. Turns out he's actually the devil. Yeah, and Keanu Reeves is basically litigating a case that is terrible, but because he wants to be this lawyer, he's going to do whatever it takes. The conversation is basically, what are you willing to trade? You're willing to trade your soul for everything. He doesn't do it in the end, but there's a moment where now he's the hero guy. Yeah. And then a reporter comes to him and says, can I do a profile piece on you? And he goes, no, I don't want fame, I don't want any of this. And the guy goes, come on, a lawyer with a conscience, everybody will love it. And Charlize looks at him and goes, come on, baby, come on, do it. And he goes, okay, I'll do it. And they leave, and I'll never forget, the journalist turns into Al Pacino, looks at the camera, and he says a line, and he drops it. Vanity, my favorite show.
That's right,
I don't know how old, I just went to watch that movie because there was nudity in it. There you go.
Zeven?
Because at that time you couldn't fully get nudity. I don't know if you remember these days.
Zeven ka na wari?
It was what I like to call it was accidental porn.
Yeah, you did not see nudity.
Ikaw na nagkawari mo.
Like kids today, I feel bad for them because there's like a diminished joy in seeing nudity now.
The random tip that they get.
Are you kidding?
Ha?
Oh!
Grabe.
I'm all about
I had nothing.
That's the throwback.
We just saw it and that was it. That was your moment. But that movie came out. I wasn't old enough to go see it. So I remember I would sneak into, I don't know what movie it was at the time. So I would always find a movie to sneak into that I could then go out into another, you know what I mean? Like the reason I've seen parts of Titanic so much is because I used to use Titanic to go and see the nature.
You need that. So you need a clean movie.
You need a clean movie to go and see the back. So there was that, but anyway, I remember that.
At first I did,
What I thought about is to not get sucked into doing a thing that you may start off having good intentions doing,
Huh?
and then now stay in for the vanity side of it. And I think a lot of
Ano ko ba?
like people start on social media or even in the world. They go, I'm gonna protest for a good cause.
So yun lang daw.
Online and then get into it. It starts off from a good place, but then you get that hit. You get that little hit where someone like, you know, like you said,
Umpisan mo.
okay, do your thing, come on, really. And you go like, oh, now you start finding reasons to do a thing that you don't actually believe in because it's addictive, man.
You high off the feeling.
Yeah, it's addictive.
I'll give you another moment, right? I remember where, this is like when the
Oh.
the power of the meme started, right? Somebody will pass away and, everybody's posting a meme.
Yeah.
Jesus.
A picture of said person, right? And I remember,
Sorry.
I was like,
Kaya iya man, di pa yung natignan siya karang nama Rex eh, hindi.
let me throw up a picture,
Eh, si Siri mo.
right?
Eh, bakit mo isa may.
And, I remember, I don't get into the comments. Like, I have no desire to go to the
Yeah.
Ang sumos live eh, kaki di ko na suar.
first one, I go back to like, look at the picture. And the first guy said, you ain't even know, bitch. And I was like, dang.
Ako,
I did really know. I was like, what is everybody think? Probably never talking about me. I'm like a fucking idiot. I'm a follower. I'm following the meme craze. I go find a picture off of the internet and put up with this man after he passed away. And the first comment I read was, you ain't even know, bitch. And I had to stick to myself. And I
The best internet comments are the ones where someone unwittingly stumbles upon.
ako actually ka rin, kami phone calls
Those
mo.
are the greatest internet comments because most comments online are noise and trash and hating. And then there's love, don't get me wrong. There's all the negative ones. It's just people who don't like you or whatever it is. But there will be someone who says something that is so true. Wait, even though they're hating on you, you go, oh man, you got me. Yeah, you got me.
you did damn on it. I am struggling with that. I just need to figure that out. But the concept attached to throwing yourself in environments that are not just conducive for you or who you are, that was a template for that joke, and I love the honesty and transparency in it. But it also acted as like a moment for me in my life where I'm like, I'm not throwing that no more. In general, I'm not putting myself in any position of discomfort based off of what I think people could possibly think if I were to go through the thing that they think I need to. It's too much. There's too many thoughts about the thought that has not yet shaped itself into actually being the thing to think about. Like I'm not 4 steps ahead. I'm no longer that machine or entertaining the idea attached.
What do you think changed in your life? I could be completely wrong. I'm taking a shot here. Every artist has a moment in their lives where something happens, something shifts, and you see that shift apparent in their work. There is no denying that you came out with 2 of, I would say, these seminal specials when you first came out, right? Laugh at My Pain, Little Grown Man. I mean, they were, you remember, we all know what they were like. In comedy, we all know what those specials were like. There were specials where you can go like, that was it. That's the timestamp. That right there, you can't. Kevin Hart becomes a movie star. You kill it in everything. I mean, I remember this 40-year-old virgin. You were honestly, I think, one of the top cameo performers pound for pound I've ever seen.
It was
You would step into a movie, and everybody in the theater would be killing themselves, and nobody would know your name, nobody would know who that guy was. They would just go, I love. Every time I tell people movies you did, they'll be like, who's in that? I'm like, oh, that scene. Yeah, they go, oh, that was, oh shit, I remember. Oh, I didn't even know that. And I want to, so in a weird way, I sometimes think some people feel like you were this immediate overnight success because in a strange way, they didn't remember all of these characters you were playing in all of these movies. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it did seem like all of a sudden you were just the face of a franchise or the face of a movie. But I go like, Kevin Hart was grinding away in 3-minute segments.
I was number 7 and 10 on the call sheet for years. For years.
Yeah.
And I was fearless about my approach to the cameo. I was fearless about my approach to getting the role. I can tell you it was crazy. In the scary movie franchise, right? Let me tell you how fearless I was. We were doing table reads, and a manager was like, hey, Chad, let me table reads. I just want some personalities to come and like, do the reads so they see the materials working. Just wait for you to see about some people that do movies, comedies, etc. I was like, I'll do it, right? I go here, I'm improvising during the table. I'm going down the script, coming back to the script. In my mind, I said, I do a good enough job. Whatever the role is that I'm reading,
Right.
I may have a shot at getting the role.
Right.
I leave the table read, within an hour, my manager called me back. He says, Kevin, you didn't get that part, but they got a part for you that they want you to have. If you're into it, they want you to come back and they want to talk about the part with you. Very small part. Cameo part. He's a friend. I talk about the part, once again, fearless. Start improv.
Yeah.
Doing things that I feel the character could do, could say, whatever. They love it. Oh my God. They write it in the damn script. Put all my ad libs in the script. And we talk about the hit. The fucking drug. Oh my God. So I present the funny material. At times, if it works and I'm still on par with the script, that can be my engine. That can be my entry point. So from that point on, I stepped up to all cameos. It was scary movies. It was Along King Polly. It was 40-Year Virgin. It was Dream with Taylor. I can go down a list. Jake in Progress. I was the guy that would come in for a scene, and then after that scene, you wouldn't see no more. But I made it my business to put together what I would consider to be some funny, impactful moments in regular films. And I said, if I do enough of them, the casting directors are all the same. Eventually, the guy said, this guy deserves a bigger part, but we should do something else with it. And I remember I got my fucking feelings hurt. It just didn't happen. I look back, man, I had like 12 cameos, all these credits, but nobody knew me from the credits. Nobody fucking knew me, like I was the guy. He was in, shit. What's your name? God damn it. Hey, what the fuck? We just saw him. What's the shit he was in? I had to stop him trying to come up. They never forget it. He had on the hat. They say it's shit right in front of your face. And you like, just ask me, man, so I can tell you. Nah, fuck it, bitch, leave.
The worst is when they say something that diminishes you in front of you. While still giving you a compliment, by the way, they'll be like, he's the dude. And then someone will say something, you're like, no, he's not that funny.
No, he ain't that good. He's a stupid motherfucker. What's the stupid motherfucker we said? This motherfucker, we said ugly as shit.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Having a cough on the clock? Try me non-toxic for cough. If you're a business owner, your videos are the best way to grow your business and make more sales. They grab attention, simplify complex ideas, and make you feel like you're watching a Pixar, not an ad. So your customers actually watch your videos and remember your message, which means they convert up to 87% better. That's why massive brands like Coca-Cola and Apple use them in their marketing. But the problem is, they are super complicated and can cost over $50,000. Thankfully, that's why we built Create Studio, the easiest way to create 3D character videos for your business. That makes animation so easy, it feels like cheating. Create Studio is already trusted by 90,000 business apps and the #1 rated video software on Capterra, with over 700 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. How does it work? Just choose from your massive library of assets, scenes, and characters, all pre-animated by our team of Pixar-trained designers. Then customize your characters, just a few clicks. changing their hair, selecting their actions, and lip-syncing their voices in one click. Then hit export. And in just a few minutes, you have a professional.
I remember saying, all right, I'm going back to stand-up, focus on stand-up.
Yeah.
Stand-up got big. After the special, there was a moment where I transitioned from multiple shows at comedy clubs to multiple shows at theaters.
Yeah.
And when it got to the multiple shows at theaters, I was like, they're gonna have to come. Like the movies are gonna have to come because people are showing up. So at some point, it has to happen.
Did they?
The movies did not come in the manner I thought they would, right?
Yeah.
The opportunity did,
Oh, yeah, I like that.
and
Yeah, I like that.
and I believed in the opportunity. So the movie
that's
offers
very,
didn't
very
happen.
religious of you. It's very spiritual. My mom would say something like that.
The opportunity came.
Yes. This story is amazing, but I often try and remind people that most of the time, the moral that you will take from a story of a person who is successful is the incorrect moral. If you get an opportunity to go to a table read what they give you.
Okay, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do that.
Don't do it, Kevin Hart.
That's actually a really good point.
Don't do it. I can imagine people walking into rooms, getting a script, and they're like, we need you to help us work on this script. Be like, bam, boom, bow. Oh, shit.
Don't do it.
I'm sorry. Kevin, can we?
Yeah.
This is Shakespeare. Yeah, I just thought maybe,
And I made sure I set it up correctly by saying, I said, let me tell you how crazy I was. I made sure I set it up correctly, like that's how nuts I was. I went in there not thinking about the consequences. I'm thinking about how do I make my presence felt?
yeah.
How do I leave a lasting impact? And
That could have turned out so horrible. I almost hope it would have, and I still hope you would have achieved your success. But I would have loved that moment to turn out terribly.
Yeah.
Just for someone else to have a story where they
Story.
go.
Let me tell you
Kevin
my
Hart. Let me tell you my Kevin Hart story.
this idiot,
This guy.
this
guy.
talk about no respect for
We're
life.
sitting in those agency meetings, and Kevin Hart, this guy comes in. I've never seen anything like. I mean, this guy, he cut in every word. He added his own. I mean, this is,
No respect.
you know, he started rapping in the middle of. I mean,
I remember the one I stood up, like one of the things like, double check me. I was going for it.
we're gonna continue this conversation right after this short break. So you have these seminal moments in your stand-up, and then I feel like, could be completely wrong, and don't be offended when I say this, but I feel like there's a moment in between in your stand-up where it almost felt like Kevin Hart was preserving Kevin Hart more than Kevin Hart was just being and doing Kevin Hart. And I say this as a comedian who's experienced
Yeah,
it.
that's not
like-
offensive at all. That's true.
So every comedian starts off in what I argue is the best place. You have nothing. You get on stage. The only thing you have is your comedy, and the only thing you receive is a laugh. You don't even get money. People don't realize in the clubs when we were getting $5, $10. Cookie still owes me $15. You gotta give. You know that will never happen. I said this. So that's all you get. Is the laugh.
Ang latok nag-slide in
Something clicks. You start to become successful. Now, there's a moment where on this bell curve, you have nothing, you reach the peak, and now it feels like you have everything. You don't have everything, but it feels like you have everything because it's more than what you have. And now fear sets in, and you go, can I tell that joke? Should I perform like that? Is that crazy? Do I switch up my style? Because comedians are always evolving. And now, because you have the people at this point, you go, do I keep them at this point? What did I do that they liked? I guess I gotta keep doing that. I gotta, you know what I mean?
Spot on.
Now, especially in this special, I don't know what it is, Kip. You walk out and you feel, even the baseball bat itself is such a you thing.
I'll keep this fucking bat in my hand.
Bring your ass up to the stage, I'm gonna knock your fucking head off, I swear to God. Okay? We're sick of your shit, we're fighting back. Don't you come up here. Knock your goddamn head to the top of this arena, don't you come up here.
it just feels like it's like, you know, I'm just like, what changed? Well,
Ik like hoe je Trevor Noah's... Iets wat ik denk ik hoor. Iets wat ik Trevor Noah's podcast kijk. Ik kijk gewoonlijk Kruisen of iedereen, Albert, iedereen, whatsoever.
the first hint
Of om, nee man, als iets wat ik om, dan kijk nou. En ik like die snippets die inbrengen man. Zie van, ander man praat van sommige goed nee, maar er brengen snippets in. Van ons die allemaal moet hij, dan kijk we dat ik kijk het nog niet zingen.
crazy, sold out all over.
That's it.
Well,
Dat is nice te doen.
tour's over. Well, I gotta get back to the comedy club. And I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do next. Yeah. Cause I got nothing. After the tour's over, I wanna make this perfectly clear to the audience, watching, listening. You kill that material immediately. Yeah. I cannot recite a joke of old from any stuff. It's killed. I blink and I fucking delete it immediately because it has no more value in me. The special's taped, the tour's over. Well, what the fuck am I going to talk about next? Yep. So the scramble and figuring out what that will be is a scary scramble before your like polished comedian legs present themselves. You're the new comic, you're the new star, you're the new, like, you're new. So although you got this life, you're not polished. You're not poised. You're also not situated. You're not. You got a hit. That hit is great. But you don't have an extensive contract. No. There's no guarantee to the next. There's no guarantee of anything. There's no guarantee that this next tour is going to sell as many tickets as this one. Yeah. There's no guarantee that the next movie will be a hit. There's no guarantee that the next starring role will be the right role. There is no guarantee. By the way, at the time when I was coming up, what we might overlook is that I was in a fucked up period of movies. I was in a period of Black Actor Bomb, bye-bye. I was in a period of, y'all can't sell movies internationally.
Oh, yeah.
You can't
Oh, yeah.
do this. And if these movies don't have any domestic success, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bad investment. I told you, black directors were going into director jail if they bomb.
Yeah.
You don't get another shot. So the fear and the stomach bubbles. Will, the stomach bubbles.
That is the
Will Packer, Tim Story, myself, we just think like a man. 1, 2, we did Ride Along 1, we did Ride Along 2. Me and Will Packer did Wedding Ringer and About Last Night. I just named all 6. By the way, we have more, okay? Those 6 movies, you're looking at the trajectory of the empire. There was never a comfortable moment or relief.
You would tell me Bubbles the whole time?
For Ride Along, me and Q, I remember me and Q being a press tour. So we like, oh, we hope they come out. They was scripted money.
Yes.
If they don't come out,
Yes.
I mean, we end up doing 140 minutes.
It's nice man.
Stomach release. Oh my God.
Iets anders voor mij.
Ride Along too, man. We don't do 140
Ja, dat wil je niet weten.
Hardcore shit.
Mexico and surpass.
En nou kunnen we weer door ver toe. Iets soort, nee, kan gewoon sparen door rijden. Zien ze zo rijden.
That's you.
Vooral voor mij wat die maar je transport is. En je personal car. Dat is altijd het ding als we nog maar mogen krijgen. Dus hij zien of taxi rijden voor mij zien. Zo voor mij is het totaal iets different en ik enjoy it. Om een prijs samen en ik is willing om te zeker van je prijs te betalen, maar wanneer op een dag moet je heel check. Te betalen om door te komen. Ik tel wantou.
Banyak trouwens bro.
Zie, wantou voor te betalen maandelijks om een taxi om aan te komen. Wantou voor zo avonds blij nou. Ons krijg ik free geyser, warm water. Ik heb mijn geyser goed geraakt. Ik kan niet opmaken als warm water. Zien ze. Maar het gehoor, als ik bier storen. En ik ga altijd gehoor klaar mensen. Hoe het is geyser, de kracht. Zie je?
Hij zie workste. Je nou die workste punten broer.
Zien ze? En nou betalen we zo'n 400 300 een maand voor kracht. En die warm water is goed te zeggen nu.
after the car
So dis
accident.
vir my net benefiet vir baie mense sê, ja,
Mense betaal 300 elke tweede, derde dag.
sien jy? Baie mense sê, ja, maar kyk, betaal 6k mos 'n maand sien hierin. 6k times 12 is 72. Is dat weer huis daai? Ek ga iets nou 72 so vir huis.
Ja, seker.
So ek maar nou aankap nou. Saam met
Vir
net.
wie nou oomblik.
Sê jy?
And I did that. And I was like, it's kind of like dope.
You think that changed your level of fear?
1,000%. Because I control it. So I'm using stand-up to sell the movie.
I don't know. Listen. I hear you, but I don't know. Because I feel
So
like
ek betaal net cheap man. Ek sien dit so uit hy bro.
Drive is drive.
Plus nee bro, man wat trou nie.
But what I'm saying, what I'm challenging
Ek het nie geld vir huis.
and I say this as an observer and as a fan.
So
I think that
stoof.
you might think wrong.
Alle goede.
Don't get me wrong, this Kevin
Kaste nou koop sien jy. So dis vir my
sometimes
En dit is ook maar alles basics maar.
My broer-
Na pryse is.
sê jy.
like
So nou
where and not to get
ek dis 'n perfect staat vir my. Personally dis 'n perfect staat vir my.
En jy
Perfect
koop.
jump staat. Ha?
Jy koop baie.
Ja.
Ek
koop. Ek drink mos nou nie. So my bro, ek gee hy 6k was met drank vir 'n maand te wees my bro.
En as hy klip skool kon praat met Lani.
Ek sê
Kyk waar vandaan kom jy my bro? En die klip skool af my vriend.
Fear is
seker my vriend. Seker.
yeah, complete sentences behind the drive. In other words, like,
But what I'm saying is, that fear
Ons
is
mense spandeer baie vir swale bro.
and it cannot come from. I do not believe that the drive
Toch,
can be the reason for
twice.
the drive. I believe, and I could be wrong, but
Pak
I'll fight
vlewe
for it.
kool foil.
There's something that comes.
Bos by elke dag erop.
Hè?
Elke dag bos erop. Elke
Ja,
dag.
nou die mense is
There's
drinkie
something
op
that I remember
drinkie.
talking to
Yes,
an
my bro.
amazing woman who's
Koop ek by dinge se by die eie vir my so lekker bangsak pak vir R100. Ja, om met reën so
things that you don't
paar
think
dae.
like,
Ja, om
think of
my
today as
lekker.
common.
Vir 3 dae.
Ja. As dan nie manne kom met 'n kop soek op 'n ding.
What is this now? We're gonna ramps for you? Come
But
on.
yes.
And people are like, we're in wheelchairs. They're like, yeah, well, it's not my fault. We're gonna build ramps for
but what
you.
is that
Oh my
genuine?
God. This is a thing. I could not believe this when I watched the documentary.
Ek nog op skool uit dit mos.
Ja.
We were having this conversation. It's very funny, by the way. And I said to her, I was having a conversation. I said, you know, disabled people, and I said, as an able-bodied person. And she said, no. She says, rather think of yourself like this, man.
Teken jy nog?
Think of yourself
Portret,
as
doen jy nog portret?
currently able.
Ver voor jou.
Because she said the mistake
Ek
about
kan nie met dit bespeel en dit met geld maak nie.
that disability is
Sien, so
a
ek
permanent,
sal nou
predictable thing that will
laat
happen.
my busy hou nou.
But there is a
Is-
form of disability that every human
is social
being
media
is
my channel bou.
It may be reduced
Wanneer almal dit op
and it
myself
may be unfortunately a disease.
op 'n next level te kry man.
In your case, a severe traumatic accident that both threatens
My
your
is
life
YouTube nou.
and limits
Is
your
YouTube in
ability
trading
to
nou.
exist and be as a human. And Kevin Hart,
Ah,
I
sien
look at
ek-
your
kan ek-
trajectory as a person. There are two things
kan
that
ek 'n toekoms sien in dit?
happening all the time.
Sien 'n toekoms in hy.
Growing,
Ja,
moving,
ek jou twee broers is net so gevaarlik.
constantly pushing as a comedian and as a performer, and doing the same thing physically. You've been playing sport your whole life. You've been pushing, growing, moving. It's been
Maar laat my explain in die
There is
gewoon.
something
Ek sê
that you have to grapple with
laat moet skip man.
when there's a possibility
Sien jy?
for that paralysis.
Jy maar as jy op YouTube
There's
kyk en
something
so.
that you have to go through.
Dan vra ek hulle,
When a doctor walks into a room
Vraag.
and goes, hey, your spine may not be what it was before.
maar jy moet dit vir jouself wel hê. Jy moet regtig
En as 'n ding wat hy soek tyd, hy soek consistency.
bro soek geld op. Hy soek geld, hy soek baie geld. Van die dinge sê ek sê hy soek meer psychology man. Hy soek psychology, psychology moet on point is. Anders gaan hy te maak. Sien jy? Hy leer van jy is dis greedy.
And
Hy leer jy is greedy.
experience
Vat een trade,
outside
vat hy los.
you didn't know.
Dis stoploos daarin. Nie hy gaan verloor nie. Van jy hoop jy gaan terugdraai sien
Ja,
jy.
so ja.
Hy hou hom op en af. Nou so diep in die minus gaan en hy sê nee. Kom nie close nou al. Terugkom. Kom nie terug nie. Kom verloor jy R500, R1000.
That I'm terrified.
Suster Lashanki.
When you come from nothing, and when your family has had nothing,
Sila sa.
because you know how far the bottom is. I always tell
Mamat also may buti.
come from
Sige.
one family. And the one thing I hate is that you do not think of
Kom ko rito ito.
as being as far
Vandaag.
as mine is. So when you think of failing, you think of failing to let's say never find it. Because that's what your number is, your bottom is. I think of failing and I go, this is that zero.
Yung mindset mo talaga recht is aan in mijn doet.
Bro, on point is.
Right?
Yeah.
When you start
Huh?
building, the comfort for me comes from
Ja, het is live.
I'm building
Hello
so
vrienden.
that if the fall ever
Hoe is
happens,
dit?
I got multiple things to grab on. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're scaffolding. So, okay. Think about when we go scaffolding. Okay, you fall.
Kan rera sih. Merente lah, experience merente. Merente. Ik op straat slaap, dan sta je billen warm.
Wauw, lekker. Die vrienden hebben dan een blessing gegeven. Hij poetst aan die kop mee.
Hier is een nu. Die waren twee mensen. Praat die waren twee mensen.
Je man was niet. Ja, ik ben echt
Here's what it is, man. Like, I have watched people in our business comfortably perform, comfortably work, and walk away with nothing. Okay. The fear that I have is attached to you walk away, or the opportunity to actually sit with self and go, I have nothing. I have all these years in the business that I've given my all to, and my all has done nothing but create success for the operating machines, studio, factories, project promoters, etc., all around me. And at the ending to that operation, I'm left
Maar bro man, juist zo hier zie. Nee man, ga weer eens op. Hé, maatje. Maak hem aan, we gaan werken voor jou. Kom maar, niet jong. Nee, ik weet niet altijd. Ja, man. Hoe ga je ook geen meer leven? Ik ga met toe rente. Ga dan jong. Nou, Theo, wij moeten doen nog niks.
And I was like, but let's get to the scaffolding. So I said, I'll own it. No, I'm getting it. Here's the thing. I said, but I'll own it. Okay. So I fell in love with owning that one thing. All right. And then owning that thing, I said, you know what? I'm going to build something else. Okay. All right. I'm going to own this. Right. You know what? I got two things at home. Okay. All right. Fuck that. I'm going to own something. But I'm going to go figure this real estate shit out.
Doe één keer dan voor een mens. Leuk, mijn bro. Ik zie even voor White volgens naar op van White. Kom je aan de zien ze. Die White. Je moet draaien op. Dan moet je daarbij bro. Eén keer dan gaan doen. Nou.
Dus heb je nog geld voor dat?
Ja. Hé bro, ik ga mijn toerant zomaar. Zo wil je op. 10 rente. Nou de één keer dan gaan doen. Nou wil je zomaar.
Self-love. My superior mind, my superior self only allows you to go, hey, no matter what, you can't what I built. And what I built, it ain't under my name. It's under the brand, it's under the entity, it's under the infrastructure that I created that everybody else ignored. So when I fall down, oh yeah, my heart may fall, but these children go fucking stand. With or without you. And hey, when I'm done, although it may be rough, rocky, whatever, my fucking kids gonna look at them buildings, and they gonna look at that shit, and they're gonna go, man, Dad, this is dope shit. My security comes from understanding that the plan, the operation, the movement, the business, outside of Kevin Hart, is a business that'll work. I appreciate that. And for that thing, I will never compromise my now feeling of comfort. So me going and selling tickets or not,
Now it's a bonus.
it's a bonus.
Now it's a bonus.
Now it's a
Okay,
bonus.
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
You're scaffolding, bro.
It's a thank you
I'm completely with you.
No pressure at all.
I hear you completely.
There's no feeling attached to it.
Because
I'm
yun ang
walking away
ano,
with
yun.
change today. And that will leave you. A quarter of the court. I'm going to go to the front row. Who got $50? When I'm down there, I'm like, man, I'm going to get into a great show. I don't know this fucking man. I got 13 years in top.
Have you ever done a Hawk MC arena, by the way? No. I've done one. And
Can I tell? I should have said it one time. It's only really. It's only really.
oh, that's fine. That's fine. I've done one. Deep Republican, like little, enclave. And my team says, we don't know, we've never been, we don't even know what's going to happen yet. We don't even know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens. I said, okay, let's go. We went there. I think the arena, it's like a cut-down arena. I think the capacity was 6,000 people there. Yeah, I think we sold 3,000 or 4,000 tickets. Okay? When I walked in, everybody looked like we were at a funeral.
live?
I mean, everyone backstage. You know when the promoter comes look at you, you know when like, everybody is shamed. And I'll never forget this moment.
They also don't know what your ego is attached to.
Yeah. I said, oh, how did we end up doing it? And they said, well, we've got to move some people down, we've got to move things around, it should be a good show, it should be a good show. So I was like, okay, man. And I remember I was trying to,
Dus je nieuwe blauwe overalls zo in, like, of wat? Die nieuwe blauwe overalls.
Ja.
Ik zie mij weer.
Ik kan het niet meer lachen. Ja.
Hij is mooi, man.
Hij is leuk hoor. Hij is zo vol op. Hij is lekker. Is dat? Ja, hij is great, bro.
now, everybody here is more.
Misschien niet per reactie die oudjes.
When you feel the great, the fact that people have come out and explained
Nou, wie wat ik doen? Als ik een crew net over de... Moet niet op die point vragen. Moet me niet vragen, bro. Ga je me en je het viel.
Gaan we ook hier.
Zie je.
Weer een vraag? Hij zei niet.
Ja, dan zeg je, allee, zie je.
Of, ik maak niet die vraag, maar ik moet prepared voor het, man.
Ja.
Zien ze, ik moet weer aan de result in kunnen zetten.
Ja. Ja.
Because there's a weird thing that happens within an arena, it isn't full, by the way. There's two things. One, there's a feeling of doubt. Some people in the audience are like, all right, people know this somewhere else. There's a moment of doubt. And then you as the performer have to come out and show the audience that you did make the right choice. And then the second feeling I find in those moments is the audience goes, no, we are specific in our choice. We've chosen someone else. So we've chosen us. This is not for everyone. And so this experience becomes more intimate.
There should be a feeling of pride.
Yes, and so what I'm saying in that is, the reason I say you're a scaffolding brother, which I don't mind. I have no scaffolding in the world.
We're scaffolding. So, don't tell me this word like
Ik zeg, druk je aan de
there's always an audience that's going to therapist as well. But it's very self-restricted, like
not therapy talk at all.
self-restricted.
It's like tummy bubbles.
I mean,
Tummy bubbles is like someone would use that in therapy.
Ik beweeg, joh.
okay.
Ik beweeg, ik snap
But
niet.
I just said that was not a therapy word.
Toen ik beweeg je.
Tummy bubbles, I go that's a therapy word. It's just the way it's.
I was like, yes, like.
That's a therapy word. See, that's a therapy word. That's different.
Rex, maar.
So anyway, because what now after this?
Je bent zo vrij, nog.
What I mean by scaffolding brother
Je
is
denkt eens.
there are
Even
two
charge
ways.
bij hem. Oké,
Well,
zo.
there are multiple ways.
Dat is
but I think
klompiet, ja.
two of the common ways for us to deal with the idea of having less or going backwards or diminishing in life or whatever it might be. The one way is to do scaffolding in our life. And what that scaffolding is to go, okay, if at 7 o'clock I'm not a new star, oh, okay, what do I have? if I spend on another 3 years setting up, what do I have? Okay, so let me diversify. I'm going to build up these companies. I'm going to build up these institutions. I'm going to own that. I'm going to own this. I'm going to own this. I'm going to own that. I'm going to own that. I'm going to own that. Way, I'm in a situation where my eggs are not in one basket. And that means that if in one thing I'm, unceremoniously kicked out, I still have everything else that I can go back to. I have basically created a scaffolding. That's why they use scaffolding in construction, so that they don't go backwards from that. It's like, all right, let's build around this thing, at least enable us to get to a certain place, and then we can sort of move back, but it holds everything where it needs to be, while it is being built up, right? I think it's a good motion. Right? And I would encourage you to try it a little bit more. I know it's hard, don't get me wrong, because you're Kevin Hart and you have this mountain, but I would encourage you as Kevin Hart to also realize beyond the brand, beyond the building, beyond all those things. And I would even speak on behalf of your kids. I think you take for granted that the building may not have as much of an impact on your kids as the building that you've done with them.
I would say you're probably correct. It's
Not probably.
Well, yeah, he'd be probably right.
And you should probably say.
Well,
That's like doing comedians, na? That's like doing comedians.
fuck no. High school, SAT, fuck no. Didn't take it serious, have it together the whole way down. I think it's great that we can go do, applying to college, trying to get into college. So what? Like, all right, are y'all doing it? Fuck it off. Leaving college, 2 weeks. I'm out of here. It's over now. Sneaker store. I guess that's what it's going to do. Everything.
You worked at Foot Locker? Where you worked? City Sports. Okay.
Everything that was positioned in front of me for me to take serious, that my mother tried her best to get me to understand.
Yeah.
I fucked off. Swimming, successful in it. Could have had scholarships, could have done whatever. I fucked it all.
You swim?
I'm phenomenal swimmer.
Like at that level?
Yes.
I thought you had to be tall to be able to swim.
No,
No,
you
this is
don't.
what you want to
It
know.
sounds like it.
It's not a joke.
It really sounds like
You know
a
what?
game.
Okay, let's go back. Let's go
Yeah.
back. I gave you a chance. Let's go back on that one.
Swimming.
You swam?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about your physical makeup that made you? Let's go to take 3. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Swimming.
You swim?
Yes.
When I think of swimming,
You think that?
I find myself thinking of an archetype, a certain type of person.
Yeah.
And this is because maybe swimming there's been gatekeepers
Yeah.
in swimming. And so you think of, how maybe Michael Phelps, they look a certain way.
Yeah, I know. Like we're share the same love and do the same thing.
Yeah, but I think it's less about the drive. I'm talking about the physical aspects of the person. Like
I've been next to Mike in the swimming pool. Like,
yeah.
You
And
can't really tell us apart in the water. You can't.
yeah. So
It's all about the stroke.
wow.
Yeah, my freestyle was amazing. My freestyle was phenomenal.
Is that because you're putting less?
When you say cold less, what are you saying? It's all about strength, Trevor.
And drag. It's about drag.
No, Trevor.
Trevor.
Okay? Great form in swimming provides great results. Now, granted, I fucked it off because I was a cheater. Alright? I was a guy that was cheating in practice and half-assing. I didn't want to do shit. The point that I'm making is that everything I was supposed to do seriously, I fucked it off. So when I finally cracked the code and figured out the thing that I could do, the fear is not fucking it off. I fucked it off. Everything else I fucked off. So this here, I'm not going to fuck it off. I'm going to not only take it seriously, I'm going to get so good at it and do it at the best of my ability. Oh shit, something else happened. Well, I'm not going to fuck that opportunity off either. Oh shit, another door happened. I ain't going to fuck that off. Everything now as an adult, because the adult that was giving me the information was right. My mom was right.
When did you first start realizing how right your mom was?
When you realize how much you fucked up. When you look up and all these people in college, they got scholarships, and you saying, what did y'all apply? What did y'all apply to if you didn't apply, then you realize you're an ignorant child. You realize you're a dumb child.
Do you feel like you got to the place where you got to reward your mother for the investment that she made in you? Because I know how hard it was, you know, for you losing her.
Absolutely not.
You didn't feel like in your lifetime
No.
You don't think she was like, because she, just as you were rising,
Whose goal? I want to say this is like
were you in Australia? Or were you
in Australia, and I was trying to live this movie. You know, this is basically like, you know, a big role for me.
Yeah.
I was number 3 or 4 on the call sheet.
Like Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey, Hudson. And it's a big role. If I want to live in Australia, this is like one of my like big roles.
Yeah, and your mom was sick at the time.
So she didn't get to, like, the world of benefits came way after. You know what I mean? Like, the real fruits of the labor. So, you know, mom didn't have a house. My mom, you know, we didn't have grass. My mom didn't have comfort in her life. My mom wasn't able to relax, and on her later stages of life, she was sick. So, in the perfect picture of, I would love to provide my mom with the luxury item of comfort, of sit down and don't worry. But at the same time, there is a dual thought and dual feeling of, I kind of navigate through this business in a way where I'm not bothered or like ruffled easily by the ups and downs of it. And I truly do feel like I got the hand on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Like I got an amazing guiding light.
Right.
And an amazing like talent of processing information, processing moments.
And that's from your mom.
Absolutely.
But on your dad's side, do you think you were ever able to forgive him? Do you think, you know, I know you had an interesting and tumultuous relationship. You connected as adults, but there's moments where you can see this in your documentary, by the way, if anyone's keenly observing, you can still see that there are moments where your dad has this hold over you. It's like, you know, it's like on the one hand, he's sort of holding you back. On the other hand, he's proud of you, and like most parents, he's limited in his ability to be perfect. Did you forgive him while he was still alive?
Absolutely. I think, you know, my dad.
Absolutely?
Yeah.
No, I only say this because I think it's tough and it's hard for us to think about these moments. But
I say absolutely.
yeah.
There's no reservation towards my dad.
Okay. Okay.
There's an understanding like you can't go back and change the things you did.
Yeah.
You can apologize and we could be grown and be men and move forward. But at this point, life wasn't about me. Like, I'm okay. Focus on being your grandma. Like, don't worry about me at this point. And I'm telling him at face value, like, I'm good. I love you because you're my dad. I appreciate you for tailoring the mistakes and the bad choices. By the way, I got some of you in me. So, my bad choices are in my fucking blood. Like, I'm not the guy, to your point earlier, the monk or the walking stable of perfection. I get where I come from. I get where I'm a mess and where I'm not. But what I do very well is process reality. The reality is you're my father. I don't want to take that away. I don't want to change that.
Yeah.
And your mistakes are great mistakes because they gave me great examples of what I shouldn't fucking do. Try my best to avoid that shit because look at the consequences of it.
Yeah.
You lived through your consequences, you survived them. Yo man, go be a dope ass grandpa. Tell your grandkids some dope stories. Go get some dope toys. Go put that time in over there. You're gonna get more joy out of that than you are going to get out of trying to redo or undo. And I'm telling you, I'm not looking back here. I'm looking up here. My joy is gonna come from my kids going, hey man, can we see grandpa? My kids are going to go. My joy is coming from my kids, like saying, Dad, we want to go back and spend time with Grandpa. They don't know about your past.
You get it.
Meneer Baye, wil je maar een?
Absolutely.
Write a script.
That's your next
Harap
version.
broze.
Yeah.
That's the next version. That's your son's child.
My mom always said the reason they call them grandparents is because now you have a grand opportunity to be a different type of parent.
1,000
Different levels of wisdom, understanding, compassion, all of it.
My brother and my graduation was a little rougher, so he figured
Lagi dalam
this
na.
shit out.
Huh?
My brother is
Lagi dalam
powerful.
fight.
Yeah?
The best thing ever happened. My brother has taken the role. If I have to go, he comes. I gotta go on the road, my brother comes to the house. I gotta go to a movie or promo or whatever, my brother's out there. The feeling of
Ufo.
love
Right.
is
Para
never
ka pas kopno.
a void
Yeah.
Oh.
or never a missed opportunity. Got 4 kids.
Ito ko tayo trade muni paint ni ko ta ano.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh, come out of Uncle House to do this and that.
Maganda, masakop no. Evo, kakalang kuri ko kumat
At
ay patawas matusikal na. Scout ba ito na scout ba?
That's fine. You maintain the village, man.
You don't, all the shit that you overlook.
Yeah.
If you got a partner,
Yeah.
you got a partner in crime that really understands you and has your best
Yeah.
interest. When I'm coming in, and dad is the cool dad that loves us and wants to do all the cool stuff, dope activities, we watch movies, we chill. Uncle got the activity game on lock.
I love this.
Dad, Uncle, you know, Uncle showed me how to throw a strike. You can't throw a strike, let me see it. Throw it, I bet I knock that ball out the park. No, you not. Brother, throw a strike, I'll beat the shit out that ball. Bam! My kid's like, Dad, that's right. You know why I did that? Because your uncle ain't shit. Now, we got a great rapport.
Hindi ay naming cream ko to verget ni mo.
Yeah.
That energy comes from understanding where it
Ini
comes from.
lang ke.
So, what you build is
Ini falang
ultimately
gagawin.
comfort.
Verk man ito lang.
Take you tayo verget verk.
That fall back, what I want you
Sige
to
ko lang maisin si an makaran si.
fall back.
Ay wala
Yang
yan.
nasi filas ut na.
After the pandemic, after the
Wat as ano wayok
climate that we saw overtake our
foam, naming foam.
after the economy shut down,
Pero kailangan.
Ya, ay kan upel ko.
Well, let me build something so I can fall. You don't ever
Yun
think
nga
about
nga,
the fall. When you fall, you're not going to get up. That's a real
Philippine
thing.
Sira bibiyan bro.
You will not get up. And we're in a business of folded chairs. By folded chairs,
Ay,
it means
liyog
so
yun,
many
ha?
people choose to no longer sit down on the chair. They say, you know, fuck this. I'm
Cover
going
up.
to this chair up and put it up. I'm done.
Uraw
That comes from
pansin.
a mindset.
No.
It comes from a lack of
Ako
understanding
yan na.
that you
Onar
can
ko yung
create
bibiyan
or
tuma.
build what makes you feel strong.
Aram to. Iyan to.
You want real strength? Give yourself the bandwidth
Mas
and
pwede sira
mental
bibiyan bro.
infrastructure
Asayo.
to feel as strong as you possibly do, to go out and do the shit you want to do. Because now, fail or not, you feel good because you feel like you are investing into you and you can look back and see the shit. If I can say I own a pair of pants,
Oh, ba't
those
kayo
are
dito?
my fucking pants.
YouTube.
They're mine.
Natrag
You
yan.
can't take these pants from me. These are my
Try ba na ako
pants.
podcast? Oh.
It's
Back to
a,
scaffolding.
I need to do it.
It's back to
Well, call me the
scaffolding.
scaffolding king.
Interesting.
Okay? I'm gonna build all that shit.
Scaffolding kid.
Call it what you want. I got it. But I'm gonna build it.
You don't put all your eggs in one basket. Now, my dream is to not even have eggs. That's my dream. I may not get there, but it's my dream. It's my dream.
I gotta say
go.
this, before you say one more thing, I gotta say this, you talked about it, or you touched on it a little bit. When you talk about the fears of common,
Yeah.
right? Let's like, of course, take all this personal shit out of it. Bill Cosby for a second.
You just put Blue Cosby in the end of the
You'll
sentence.
see why. Bill Cosby.
You can't, okay,
I can't.
but can I just say,
Let's put it aside.
okay,
I said it.
but let me explain something. Let me explain something right now. You cannot just say at the end of the sentence.
Yeah, Bill
You
Cosby.
kind of go like, no, let's go on personal share side of Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Okay.
you have to, like,
I
I want to be prepared for
Alright,
that.
right. Alright, I'm about to say some deep shit that's gonna start off as fucked up shit.
There we go. See? That's okay.
Alright, ready?
All right. Bill Cosby. Got
Alright, so, I want to.
South Africa. South Africa.
And how Bill Cosby was. He was performing in somebody's room.
Ulang kaya pa na photo to
Bill
yung ma.
Cosby was, let's just call it 7.
3 hours.
Okay.
3 hours.
Mom sat on the stool. Bill Cosby started doing Bill Cosby. And there was a comedy Bill Cosby. And there was a sold out
Uy,
crowd
siya kamuro to natin mo.
at 70 years old
Yes.
without any consistency
Right.
in touring.
This is
Yeah.
Basic.
me.
Like,
Ja, is basic hours. So mij ne. Het gelijk het moet ik lees.
the old age of
Namens ik Tommy Gibbets.
feeling and joy that comes
So
from
ik
the
denk
laughter
wat je niet wil doen
of
hè.
a crowd.
Links aan met dan of waar zo gaan
Right?
verder van. Aan mijn woorden.
When I talk about being
Poter is wat lang. Ook een titus wat lang. Grote titus. Zie. En sometimes kat ik het in de helft, 2 sessies. Wat me push om verder te gaan. Als je feit ik op YouTubers zie. En op YouTube bouw ik watch hours. Zo hoe langer ik op YouTube is, hoe meer ik mijn watch hours zie. Zo push ik mijn 5 hour titus, 4 hour titus. Zoals hij, ik push op het lang is. Dan krijg je meer uit. Zie.
That's not what all these thoughts that we have.
Ito may extra benefit ito.
Yes. Nou, die andere is gezegd wat er getriggerd om te roken. Waar zit rook opgehouden? Elke keer als gaan peertree rook ze. Ik zeg guai. Zie je. Ze roken guai, elke keer als gaan peertree. Oké, is fijn. Nou los je, nou denk ze. Ze willen denken ze, je rook los. Ze los je rook toe. En midden krijg je les om peer te gaan redeneren. Zo die peer is een trigger geweest voor de guai. Als je die peer de demonen om heeft, wat zie je, is een gewoonte. Zij elke keer op de bank komt, zo TV aan. Zie je. Gewoontes kunnen gebreekt worden of het kan aangehuisd worden.
Imagine coming over in your heart. We get to a place
Mensen dit zo ne.
what better feeling?
Bayar makkelijker voor zijn.
Baie, my bro. Die niks even, als zij rare dingen ze wil komen leven, hebben ze breek of hebben ze aanhuids. Hier zijn het niet. Kijk, ik zie reden niet, my bro.
Ik kan ook weer reden niet.
Maar ik zeg voor jou, weet je hoe zeg je ze reden niet? Zien ze? Ik ben, nou weet je wat je gezegd, ik zie je lief, sorry. Niet omdat ik niet in school gelijk het, betekent het niet. Ik moet nou ook liken, niet liken. En ik draai het toe. Ik zei nee man, kijk je, ik druk hem zo op 5 blije dag. Dat is al, of 2 blije dag. Dat is al. In een huis moet je ook rijden. Ik like die 5, 3 places. En daarna een week of zo dan een boek lees. Ja, je boek.
Of nou gooi je hem nog op mijn 5e bladzijde, maar nou is je honger van wat gaan nou volgende gebeuren.
Maar bro,
En haast het zien.
trigger zo.
Ja.
Trigger zo.
Hij interesseert je niet aan mijn boek.
Ik zei zo op school je boek gelezen, kring in het bos. Dat is al. Maar na dit doe je iemand van je boek. Ik zei die boek zo dan. Het is een interessante boekje. De Monke Soldiers Ferrari. Ik lees dat boek. Het is om lang klaar, maar ik wenselijk lees hem toe klaar. Als een lawyer, ne? Dik soort lawyer. Wat zaak op zaak gewinnen. Kan je gewoon geld te maken. Zo wij geld te maken, hij heeft zijn eigen private island gekoopt. Zo waar je geld gemaakt. Maar die dingen zijn niet. Hij heeft die happiness. Zien ze, alles maar hij happiness. Weet je wat doen elke dag? Elke dag ga naar je bar toe, paar shots van een whisky, drink hem dronk, werk een paar keuzes uit terwijl je weer zijn drank of zo, wat zo even zingen. Maar hij heeft internal happiness, man. Zo, met die één ding is het toen. Je nog toch een tycoon zaak mee waarom. Krijg je hartaanval in je hoofd. En hij zei zo'n hospitaal toe. Hij survived en hij koet zijn job toe. En hij gaat naar Thailand toe. Nee, India toe. Hij is in India waar die monks en hij raakt een monk toe. Op alles goed wat hij heeft. Eilanden, alles. Villas, hij heeft alles op het. En nou, maar hij heeft ook mee geleerd. Allemaal is op zoek naar iets. Dat is liegen binnen, dat is ook happiness. En ik denk misschien die volgende kar gaan gelukkig maken. Of die volgende miljoen rand gelukkig maken. Maar je is op zoek naar vrede of contentment. Maar het is ook geen zijn materialistische dingen. Zo hij is een boek wat mij les gemaakt heeft. Of een skrif gemaakt verlies.
Ik moet het proberen.
This was a strange dream for me to have. And I remember I woke up and I was like, Kevin Hart, why would I even dream about that? A few weeks, no, maybe like a few months later, you release Vita Hustle. And I was like, oh my God, it's real. But then I tasted your tequila, and you remember I told you about this. I don't know why, I've been very honest with you from the time I've known you. I told you about this.
Oh, good relationship.
No. But I mean, what I mean is like, it's like I'm more honest with you than people I've known for longer than me, right? Like, with very few, like,
Very
threads,
transparent.
very transparent. And I remember I told you, and I said, Kevin, I thought this tequila was going to be shit. It's actually delicious. And you said, well, first of all, I'm offended. Well, why would you say that? And I said, well, because I just assume it's a celebrity, you're going to put your name on a thing. And then you said something, you said, Trevor, you said, I'm trying to make everything I can be the best. You guys want the best tequila, not the best seller. I want the best tequila. I want the best protein. I want the best company. So what now? What's Kevin Hart moving towards now?
What Kevin Hart and
Other than therapy, because I know you're going to try that.
yes, what I would say I'm moving towards now is finishing the sentences. There's incomplete sentences.
Oh, beautiful.
So I have to put periods on the sentences, and those periods are attached to the things that I'm building. And things that I'm building, the pressure I feel I put on myself is because I'm not just building it for me. I'm building it for the people that have invested into the idea. So Heartbeat and the level of success is a studio that I obtained to have, not for myself, but for all.
Yeah.
The big what now is like the creative platform and opportunity for the stars of tomorrow. Like I got my light. It's not going to get any brighter. Stars not going to get any bigger. But the platform for, or the studio of, if I can be attached or a part of, saying come this way, and the people that come through that door become, man, that's a fucking amazing way to pass the time. So right now, I'm doing as close as I possibly can to open up that next door that I don't have to.
Oh, ik move
But
man.
that those
Oké,
tomorrow.
jij zo'n tour?
I love it, man.
That's what I want. That's what now.
I appreciate that.
Trevor, I like talking to you.
Ah, zo.
I love talking. I always
I know.
This is really good. I think low key, I want to say
Klik op je screen, man.
it was like
Double click je screen.
a way of giving me a therapy session that you think I need. And I'm gonna talk to you about it.
White,
I
maak hem
think
groter, hè?
you just, I think you gas bombed me.
Dat is een,
That term right? Did you gas bomb me? I think you gas bombed
I
me.
actually like that. I'm a gas bomb. No, for real, I appreciate you. I appreciate your transparency. I appreciate how you always support me. I always tell people the story and I never hold back. I go, nobody wanted to come on the Daily Show when I started. Everyone see, you know, like now, I hold an Emmy, people go, oh, it's obviously well-deserved. Nobody wanted to come on that show. Nobody wanted to be there because they were like, people were like, if I say I'm with him, I don't know who he is, what he's going to do, how he's going to, I understand that. I don't hold it against people. You were literally the first person who said, I will do it. I will open this random African person's TV show, Dr. John Stewart, and I'll ride with it, and I'm eternally grateful. I was like, Kevin Hart, and I get it. I was like, if he can support Bill Cosby, he can support me.
Well, okay. Well, that's a weird way to
And I just want to say I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
okay, well, I feel like you added that last piece.
Yo, man, this was great. Thank you.
I fucking love you, man.
Thank you so much. Yo, can I just take the funniest thing? Can cut it out or leave it in? The funniest moment was when I was pulling into this place. The security guard. He's like, yo, this is not your guy. The guy, like, someone who works outside. He's like, hey, yo, you that dude, man. What's going on, Jared? Hey, Noah. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, oh, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, coming. He's like, oh, you coming Kevin Hart? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, about the Cat Williams thing? I was like, no.
Oké, was
He's like,
bedankt.
no.
Why would you?
Ja.
He's like, what do you
Ik
know?
doe thuis nog
What
wel
do you
eens.
think we do?
Je weet het van
Oh,
lang.
y'all want to be like that? What's about to go down? Oh, he talking the truth.
If you look younger than your age, you might be one of us. If you've never broken a single bone, you might be one of us.
The 12 comes from my
Big test.
And these cables are some important techniques to help give more power to your willpower.
If I'm gonna die, I would like to die in my bed old and then
Oh,
fade
yeah.
away. That's
Happy.
preferable. Now, if I had to choose, they force me. Is are you gonna get shot or are you gonna get stabbed? Well, you choose. I would choose stabbed. Just because I feel like there's like an intimate moment between myself and the person stabbing me. You know what I mean? Where can I look and you say something? That's what I like. You just say something. If you're shot, it might just be over. It's very loud. It's done.
Yeah, it is
When
loud.
you're stabbed, I can just like look at the person and say something. Like, oh, I like that. I like that moment. This is What Now with Trevor Noah. Hi, Jessica Alba.
Hi. Haven't done an interview in a really long time. I'm a little bit nervous.
You haven't? Don't think of it as an interview. Think of it as a conversation. If it's an interview, then I failed.
I haven't had a conversation in a really long time. I'm feeling really nervous.
That's hilarious. So, like in most conversations, I wouldn't introduce you. But let's say there was a third person here and they just walked up,
Okay.
and then I would say, oh hey viewer, let's say my friend was viewer or listener, hey viewer, listener, very strange name, their parents.
Yeah.
Their parents wanted something interesting that would get the people talking. Hey viewer, listener, what's up? Oh yeah, no, nice to see you. Oh, this is my friend, Jessica. Yeah, Jessica. She I've known her for years. She does a bunch of things. You know, she acts when she wants to. Really, she starts like companies that make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, but also make people feel good about the product they're using. I stand to be corrected, but honest was the first time I even heard conversations around paragon free and all these like something free, and I remember all these words. I didn't understand them. I didn't know all of it. It's like all these words. I was like, I don't know what these things are. Wait, they're in the other things we use. What's happening here?
Yeah.
And she's a very smart person. She's very thoughtful. She's also very funny. She doesn't take herself too seriously.
But
You don't know it.
Ook die benauwd trend.
Yes, that's the same Jessica. That's how I would introduce you.
Oh.
To the conversation. So,
Okay.
hi, Jessica Alba.
Hi. Hi, viewer.
I hope I've made it just completely not awkward now.
No, it's totally awesome. Thank you, Trevor.
I tried my best. I tried my best. Welcome. Welcome to the conversation. I'm very excited because you were acting and you were blowing up at a time when I was watching him, like on, but like, I feel like in life.
Did you watch anything?
No, I actually didn't grade. I didn't grade. So yeah, so I grew up in a very strict family. Like my mom was very religious, so she limited what I could watch. So like I couldn't watch The Simpsons when I was young because my mom. This is crazy. My mom saw a bumper sticker of Bart Simpson putting the finger, and then she was like, she remembered that. She's like, that little yellow thing pulled the finger, and then somewhere someone wrote an article that the Ninja Turtles and Bart Simpson were satanistic. And so my mom wouldn't allow me to watch any of that. And so, so I had a very
You were surprised.
I was very limited. And then I got to a certain age, and I was like, you are now free to watch whatever you want. And then, boom, there you were, on your motorbike, dancing into it. And I remember having every feeling as a human being. And I was just like, this is the great experience of my life. And that's why I'm so excited, because now you're back into it. So maybe let's start with that. How does it feel? How does it feel coming back into a world that you have so many feelings about, positive, negative, neutral, how does it feel? Jessica Alba's back as an action star.
Feels so official when you say it for some reason. So, when I'm on a set, it feels like home. It feels like I'm with my people. I think because I grew up in my early years on military base, and I started acting so young, being on a set in that like nomadic life, and essentially they're like circus people, right? It's all the sort of like freaks and weirdos with their families are who end up in the business. and they feel like my people. They feel like home.
You've always, you know what it is? It's like you're not just somebody who wants to act in action fully. It's almost like you're an action aficionado who likes the integrity of what's happening in the fight and what's going on behind the scenes and what. So talk to me a
Yung
little
sa
bit about that.
Facebook.
Like, what is it about
En
action?
elke plek is dat iemand wat 7 miljoen van zijn ongeluk binnen een jaar klaar gesaved het. Hoe draai je schoenen?
I like it.
Okay.
You know, I love that genre growing up, and there were those men who got to do it, and they were taking the shit, and I was like, oh shit, what's the main event here?
What if the chick was saving herself? No. What?
Yeah, and then James Cameron came in at 17, you know, out of thousands of people to really be the star of this wild idea, which is this post-apocalyptic dystopian future where there's genetically engineered humans. And I was in the writer's room with them, because they only had 3 paragraphs written when they hired me, and they wrote the character, and the rest of the story is kind of around who they were going to cast. And I think because they gave me a seat at the table when I was 17, and I trained with some people, so I'm a trained stunt person, essentially. I don't know, I feel like that's probably where I feel most comfortable. I never felt comfortable in Hollywood settings, like more traditional, like where we've met. You know, any dinner party, or the Golden Globes, or like that. That's why I felt like I was uncomfortable, but I always felt really comfortable on the set.
You felt uncomfortable in those settings?
Oh, yeah.
So why? You seem like you fit in.
No, I don't know. I just never was part of, never really had like a crew or like a group of people or a community. Yeah, and I think because the nature of being a young actress and how they brainwashed us is that we should be competitive with one another.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that breeds a bit of like isolation in a way. But I always felt like I was competing against men. I never felt like I was competing against other women. I was always excited if there was another chick around, you know, I was like, yes.
Did you feel that was reciprocated at the time and like it changed things?
I don't think women really got me until after I had created a company, it was successful, and had a bunch of kids. I think that's when women, and I worked really hard on trying to make sure that women knew that I am a girl's girl, you know.
Right.
Because if I just allowed PR of projects that I was in, tell the story of who I was, it was really like a fanboy fantasy kind of person, right? It wasn't, there was no real truth there.
I've always wondered what that felt like from your side, you know, as a human being, you have an experience, and oftentimes what we take for granted, the experience that we're having of other people isn't necessarily what they're having on themselves.
Yeah, never.
So you were in the industry, you were in Hollywood at a time when it's really pure, there was no social media, there was no way for you to speak to your fans or to your audience or to anybody on the outside. And I like that you say that fanboy image, you know, did you ever feel like you were being pigeonholed or put into a specific space where like, you know, Jessica Alba, you have to be this sex bomb that's looking like this in the leather pants and this is the only way you can exist?
I think that no matter what role, whether I was doing like a dance movie, you know, to inspire young girls like Honey, or if I was Dark Angel, where I was a genetically engineered superhuman, or if I was Sue Storm, who was a very like maternal kind of superhero, they would always feel like they needed to sell me to the fanboys in a certain way. And it wasn't just me, it was all of us right at the time.
Right.
And so yes, there were like 2 or 3 of these men's magazines that we would all do to, you know, try and get those fanboys to go and show up and watch whatever it is that we were selling. But I would always try to do 3 to 4 women's magazines. So for every one guy, there would be 3 to 4 women to try and keep the balance.
Yeah.
You have to be strategic. I think that taught me, when I thought about longevity, in the business, I think being trained that way forced me to be even more strategic, probably in a very early age.
I went back and looked at some of the early interviews, and no, because it's really interesting to see that that trait is even evident back then. In some of the earliest interviews, you talk about wanting to be a producer, you talk about wanting to get behind the camera, you talk about wanting to control the environment that you're in. And back then, I'm sure if people read it and saw it, it would just seem like a nice thing to say. But when we look at Hollywood and the industry in hindsight now, everything, the Harvey Weinstein, the Me Too movement, looking at the insidious nature of agents and what was happening, and that, you know what I mean? When we look at it now, when I go back and read some of your interviews, it almost seems like you were sometimes either prescient or you were speaking through what was happening, and you were trying to say, hey, I would like to have a little control so that I'm not at the mercy of this machine. Did you feel at times, or did it seem that you couldn't see everything you wanted to be in the industry and
Absolutely.
you just had to be one idea?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's difficult for people, once they have, I think, an idea of who you are in their mind, and they put you in Maxim, and you're in Esquire, and GQ, and, they have you in those things, it's tough for them to imagine that you could be intelligent, that you could have a soul, that you could have depth of emotion, that be dynamic in any way. And I think I also had to wrestle with those stereotypes, even on myself. It took me probably 3 years after I found it honest until I really started to embrace the notion that I should be smart.
Wow. The notion that you could be smart.
Yeah. I allowed my co-founders, who I brought on and who I pitched them the idea, but I let them take credit for finding me, even though it was the other way around.
Wow.
And I didn't actively change that narrative for a long time.
Where do you think that came from, or what do you think that was? Because many people, I think, can identify or relate to being in an environment, whether it's an office, whether it's starting a company, whether it's even on a small level in a friend group sometimes, where people feel like they aren't credited with who they are, what they brought to the table, or like, where do you think that came from?
I've tried to unpack this
Go.
a bit, the years of therapy and everything. I think it really has to do with my family growing up in a very racist and segregated environment. My grandfather and my grandmother having to assimilate, them having to essentially brainwash and train their children into believing that they don't have brown skin in a way, so that they can get through the day or life without feeling the restrictions of what that meant. My dad was 6, I think, when segregation kind of stopped between Mexicans and whites in Southern California, and he had no shame around
No, Mrs. Gomes, the session started over 2 hours ago, 1 hour ago.
He's undeniably Mexican. I asked him.
We're just gonna finish off in the next 30 minutes. We're gonna add some white highlights.
Running through Claremont.
No, this is a few sessions. I'm just filling in the gaps right now. Haven't heard from you in a while. Where were you?
I'm just trying to ease him into voting differently. I'm like, you get stock extra every time you go to the airport. He's like, yes, 100%. And I was like, so maybe you should start thinking about maybe voting differently for someone who kind of maybe a party that is more sympathetic towards what it's like to walk through the world, being you. It is knowing that is my history. Now when I think of this is to be 3 years from here, even embrace this idea that I can be intelligent, that I deserve what I've worked for, and stand in my power in a way.
Yeah.
It took me a while.
When you're working from the age of 12, I can only imagine that you missed out on a lot of childhood. You know, my mom always used to say to me, she would say, to me, like, force me to play. Not that you had to, but my mom would say to me, she'd be like, honey, go and do things, go and play, that's good. And then when I was a little older, I'd be like buying things. I'd buy like a flashy car, or I'd get like a trashy car and I'd put rims on it that really didn't match what was happening. And my mom would see it, and then she'd be like, no, good. And it was almost like she was roasting me a little bit without realizing it. She'd be like, oh, I can see you need to put earrings on an ugly person to make it look better. I see what you did there, baby. And I'd be like, what? And she's like, no, do it. She said, it's good. You should play now as a boy, so that when you're a man, you don't try to live the life that you didn't get when you were younger. Go ahead, be a boy. And I'm like driving away with my rims. Like, I don't think that was a compliment, but it did always stick with me. You know, the thing that my mom was saying was, she was saying, there are stages in life where you need to be living according to that stage. And I've always wondered about, especially, you know, actors who act from a young age. It looks like it's fun, but it's still work. Did that rob you, or did that, you know, shift your ability to be a child? Have you been able to experience childhood in any way? Like,
Yes.
Yes, I know. I know you from Brazil.
oh, I love that.
Yeah.
You
So
used to comment on my
I
lives.
feel like I have given them
I think you also trying tattooing.
and so I get to be present with them and let through their
Last time we
lives
chat,
and sit with them and allow them to really
you told me you were also into tattooing.
have temper tantrums and I'm still there, you know, hold space for them and then let them be joyful and silly and goofy.
What I'm trying to say is you haven't comment on my lives in a while now.
I don't think my parents did this on purpose, and so I don't want them to take it the wrong way. I always felt a little cynicism whenever I was being completely me, when I was uninhibited. There was always a comment. I don't know if I ever really felt the freedom of just being me. So every moment for my kids is this. It's great because they're just being them, and it's like so beautiful because they're all very different. That they get to just be them, and I'm not in any way kind of confining them or putting them in a box. I felt like I never really had that freedom, and I think that's why I started acting so young, because it gave me the freedom to be someone else.
Do you still have that joy and that passion? Like, you've come back, which I might be wrong, but I would assume there is a joy and there's a passion that you find in acting that's special.
There's something cathartic, I think,
Yeah.
about, yes, it's written and there's a script and there's a character and there's other actors, but there's something about this moment that you create with people. And the fact that I get to be in someone else's skin gives me this freedom, it's very liberating. It forces me to be wildly present. And I think, I'm not sure, outside of my children, anything else that does that. It's awesome. I hope to do it more, but only work with people I love instead of assholes. I think
that's a great way to be.
I think that's where I'm going.
That's a great way to be.
Yeah.
In Trigger Warning, you're playing a person who's really an expert in what military division were they in? What are you?
She's Special Forces.
Special Forces.
Yeah.
All right. And you know, she comes back from Marshall's father. But it's interesting. Like when I first saw this Marshall, I was like, okay, I think I know what this movie looks like. And that's the word it looks like. What does it feel like? But in many of the scenes, it feels a little gritty. It feels a little more real. It feels like you've always wanted to make this kind of action movie where with the action is almost happening in the world of a real character as opposed to a character that's just there in service of the action.
Yeah, that's exactly what and the scene for me is more fun if you really feel a connection or invested in the
no.
the payoff is actually not much more gratifying if you're invested in someone.
You like to kick
Verkeerd gezegd, toch niet?
Wat mij weer ook zo.
it's gonna come off very wrong.
What?
Content.
I
In films, I was thinking of
Ongeluk skill noemen, dan moet je...
no, because you get like back in the day, back like
I get this all the time. I don't like it when they ask me to put that stuff.
Ik wil niet van zijn van jou, dat komt samen.
He's done everything. Karma guy, you know, and it was like 95 minutes or like a specific type of
Yeah,
life.
because well,
Yes, I do.
so she was like
Hey, we'll be some.
this specific type of knife fighting, and what's good about it
Huh?
is you can be small and you can take down big people, and so it's
Je hebt dat nog erg helpen.
that would make it believable that I could take down, you know, big men. And so that's I wanted to not
Als moeilijk
kind of a vulgar way of saying it, but if you know you're doing an action movie, you know people are going to probably get injured. I prefer to do it with a knife first.
Oh, say more. Now I'm intrigued. Jessica Alba would like to study and why?
It's too easy. Then you'll not do it in top out.
Die kan er erg in mee over om ook vragen.
You don't need skill, really. I mean,
No, I don't think it's gonna.
I think it's more fun.
Ja, maar als mooi lopen, wil ik ook graag. Zo.
We're gonna continue this conversation
Hoe is het?
right after this short break. I was chatting to friends about this before our conversation, and I was like, it really is wild to think that there was a time when
Heerlijk op me.
celebrities, like well-known person, actors, you know, whatever you want to
Ik
call
op
it,
eentje kijken.
there was a time when they would not be involved in anything stupid. It was just not possible. I mean, now you saw other people like, I've got my tequila, I've got my clothing brand, I've got my makeup brand, I've got, everyone's like, yeah, you can do it. In fact, sometimes people just do it, you can do it now.
Right.
Kijk,
There was
Brad.
a time when it was impossible. And you step into this world,
Denk je, kom maar, gaan ze, kat.
nobody, and I mean nobody thought it was possible to really have it in that people. Set up what went on to be a listed company. Take me through that journey. Like when you
Ja, hallo.
but it really wasn't that right?
En zie je?
Unknown. When you're starting a company, why did you want to do that?
I have always been genuinely like
Marrero.
keeps me up at night. Social justice warrior. I've always been since I was little. I mean, there's like a kid when I was 5 or 6. I've been talking about being a feminist and a modern day woman, and I had this thick Texas accent. And I was like, I'm a feminist, I'm a modern woman, I don't need a man, you know, and I'm like this little kid spewing this stuff. It was like wild idea. Where'd you get
Want
this
dan
from?
kijk je, als je loopt bezig met een gedeelte van je naam nog.
This is the nature versus nurture. You have no idea. I came in with this idea that, you know, women needed to be with fairness and people who were poor couldn't be created. And I knew because I kind of struggled in this paycheck, how lucky I was as a kid to get the type of care I got with my health, because I got in the military. So that gave us
Over die tweetje aan die broek en squid.
it really helped with the fact that we made it 40,000 a year,
Right.
you know? And so, yeah, from very early age, I was
That's so
to
bad.
be successful and use to stay with my
Are you back?
and use me to make a difference. And then when I
Yes, je gaat.
learned about people getting poisoned
Kijk,
from
je moet zo lang gaan stout.
without knowing about it. I studied on Capitol Hill.
Je moet zo lang gaan
I
stout.
did everything I could to try and bring awareness to it, but The only way to really change habits is to create a solution. And if I could get people to choose to buy the better thing, then it can hopefully make an influence on the industry to do it better, because they can see that this is what the consumer wants.
Yeah, I can't see you walking into many rooms back then without the resume you have now, and without the industry changing the way it does now. You know, one of the more interesting stories I remember being told was there was somebody who was trying to pitch a makeup brand for darker skin tones, and they were told, oh no, but black women don't really buy makeup. The person was like, yeah, because there's no makeup. And they were like, no, I think black women don't buy makeup. And then Rihanna comes along with Fenty, and now everyone goes, we've got to get into the space. It's huge. It's growing. It's like, oh, so you have to see it before you believe that the people exist.
Well, I had to first educate the consumer, then I had to get them to want to buy after I educated them. And it kind of took off like a rocket ship.
Let me start by asking you the end question. One of the most fascinating things I ever heard was it was Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, who is now easily like one of the most powerful people in the world, essentially controlling how AI is going to move.
Yeah.
But someone asked him, they said, hey, if you could do it again, and or you were talking to somebody else who was going to do it, what advice would you give them? And he says, don't. And I remember hearing it and being like, wait, what? And he's like, don't do it. He said, if I knew everything I knew today about what it took to get this company going, to keep it going, and to get where I got to today, I would say, don't do it. Too much pain, too much blood, too much sweat, too many tears, too many disappointments. Don't do it. And there's a strange, like, tiredness that you'll feel in people, founders particularly, founders, who have been there from the beginning, who actually grow something into this, you know, this idea, more than just a company.
Yeah, it is an idea.
Like, what advice would you give to yourself? Knowing, if you're in that interstellar moment and you're seeing young Jessica Alba who's about to go into Mars, what advice would you give to her?
Stop looking to men for validation.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
How do you think that played out in a company structure?
I think in a company structure, I kept feeling like I needed to, it was like the cat chasing its tail in a way. I knew intuitively what created for, why it existed, why it mattered. Most people who came in didn't understand any of it and needed to collect data to justify them wanting to participate in the success of what it was, because they didn't understand, frankly, the consumer and why the consumer would want this. And to me, it was so obvious, but to them, it was